Hey everyone, I'm Matt. Welcome to my shop. Now behind me, I have a 2-post car lift that I just finished installing today. Now my old shop, I had a 2-post BendPak 10,000 pound lift. I've had it for the last 15 years or so, and I use that thing a lot. It was a really kind of a vital thing to have in the shop. I still have access to that shop, however, it is about an hour-long drive away, and I have all my hand tools here. And so I have been missing my lift. Oil changes were due on essentially all my vehicles, and my truck hasn't been up on the lift for me to tighten loose bolts and address squeaks and rattles and things like that for a couple of months. So the one that I purchased is, it's branded Ideal. It is a Chinese lift. However, this one is ALI certified. Now the ALI certification is important to me because, I don't know, it doesn't seem like a good idea to be working under a suspended 10,000 pound truck with a non-certified lift. It took me 4 or 5 days tinkering on this, a couple hours each day. This is, they call it a bisymmetric lift, so it's got the advantages of both a symmetric and asymmetric layout. I've already used it to lift my wife's car, and I really like the way that those front arms work. They're a 3-stage telescoping arm, and they're on a screw jack type post right there. So I can add more posts, but then they screw up as well. Anyway, the lift's installed, the job's complete. But I set up the cameras while I was doing it, so let's take a look at the installation process. I think this stuff can come out of there until I get this top beam lifted up out of there. There's a plate welded over the end. But everything looks pretty good. I got all the shrink wrap and bubble wrap and cardboard and all the other packing materials off there, and I don't see any damage or anything like that. There's one little scratch on the side. I think probably a forklift fork bumped against it, but it doesn't, no dents or anything like that. So I guess the next step is to get these things unbolted and figure out where they're going on the floor. Using my laser line as a straight edge here instead of a chalk line. I got these points figured out. It's going to be the outside edges of the lift, right there and right there. And that's going to put it slightly offset from the center of the 12-foot wide, that's a 12 by 14 door. So it's going to put it slightly to the left, but that puts the outside of the post about 4 feet from this wall. And that will allow me to, you know, if I want to, I can wheel carts and things around the outside of this, I think. I'm pretty sure that's where I want to put those posts. I need to get my tractor in here and fork these posts off of here so I can get the rest of the stuff out from inside, and then I can kind of temporarily set them in position. I have drilled a couple of test holes in the concrete here, and it appears to be a 6-inch thick slab. I never got less than 6 inches in any of my test holes, so that's good. Really all I need is 4 inches according to the manual here, but more concrete's better as far as I'm concerned. Kind of a quick note about my concrete here. I drilled a few test holes in various spots around here, and it appears that my slab's about 6 inches thick. And I'm seeing that with that bit, because I'm able to fully bury this bit, which is a little over 6 inches long, all the way down to the collet on here. That's key, because I need that much depth for the anchors to bite in. So I'm using the zip tie as a kind of to fill down in the hole and make sure there's no debris down there that would prevent the wedge anchors from fully seating in there. But yeah, it's going good. I'm super happy that I lucked out and got such a thick slab here. I'm starting on the side. The column needs to tip this way just a little bit. So I'm gonna sandwich these sides down really hard and see if I can get that. And if I need to, I'll throw a couple of wedges in the other side, but it's in the bubble. It's just right on the very edge of the line. So we're gonna try and get it perfect dead center. I'll come back later with a breaker bar and get a couple extra turns on these, but it's good. I'm only pulling them up, you know, half an inch or less. That means the wedge is biting in instantly to the concrete. I got good concrete down there. I'm gonna throw some shims under this side. I think it's gonna be needed for these two over here. Well, I'm super happy with the results here. Doesn't get any more perfect than that. So yeah, just 2 shims on the one column, no shims on the other column, and those shims I kind of had to drive in there to get that perfection. So pretty happy. Got a nice, thick, flat, and level concrete slab here in this shop. This little air duster is pretty awesome. I'll post a link to this in the video description if you guys want it, but I have found this thing incredibly useful. Okay, the next step is to install the equalizing cables between the two lift, whatever slides there. There is 2 hydraulic cylinders, one on either side. However, they are tied together with a T at the top side of this column. And so the pressure between the two, it's certainly possible if you have a vehicle on here that's not absolutely perfectly balanced for it to tip from side to side. And the equalizing cables prevent that problem from happening. Super important that you install these with the 2 columns at the same height. And right now, I don't know if you can tell, they are not. That one is on the very top latch, and that one is down 1 latch. If I'd have been thinking ahead when I, when I put these columns up, I would have made sure they were on the same, in the same latch point, but they're not. So what I think I'm going to do is lift this side up to put it in the top latch, and then install the equalizing cables, and then it will be safer to raise and lower from there. So I got to figure out how to get this side up safely and slowly. I think I'm going to use my Pulsol. All right, that end's threaded in there. It goes down around the sheave on the bottom, and then up here, up through the pulley up here and out the side. And it's gonna go down into the matching hole on the other column on the other side. Okay, I just off camera I routed the hydraulic lines up and over the top. You can see there's a T right there, and this one goes down to the hydraulic power pack. These are just standard flare fittings, and so I tightened them, released them, and then tightened them and went, I believe it was 2 flats is what it specified. So pretty basic there. It does say to connect the vent lines next. However, I want to zip tie all that stuff together, and I feel like the mechanical safety cable needs to be in place before I can do that. So I'm going to do that first. All right, time to connect the vents and the tops of these hydraulic cylinders here. Not sure, but I think this fitting's supposed to have an O-ring on it. There wasn't an O-ring, but maybe there's one on this. There is. Yeah. Guess I'll just swap the O-ring from this plug over to this NPT adapter. Well, that's weird. Well, the button is stuck. All right, repairs already. way the switch is designed, if there's any pressure on the back of it, it actually closes the switch. So the bundle of wires that was in there when I pushed the cover on was holding the switch in the closed position. So installation issue, not a problem with the switch itself. Okay, let's try that again. Much better. All right, let's see what we get. I'm going to cycle this thing up and down 2 or 3 times, and hopefully that'll purge any air out of the system that might be in there. I do notice it looks like I got the equalizing cable tension, correct in between the 2 sides, because the mechanical latches are clicking in perfect sequence with each other. So the arms are exactly even with each other on the way up and down. All right, couple cycles here. We will purge all the air out, and then we'll put something up on the lift. Funny, throughout this entire project, I was going to give myself a pat on the back for not screwing up anything or having to do any rework, but I definitely did at this point. So this is the, the gear that prevents this arm from swinging, and this one is the only one that I actually installed with the gear meshed. These other ones are backwards, and there is no way to get this thing to mesh. It hits that arm no matter what I do. So I have to pop these pins back up, rotate this around, and put them back in. Actually, I just realized something else that I missed. This is the snap ring, where the snap ring goes, that retains this here. I assumed, for some reason, I don't know, I just didn't notice those grooves. I assumed they went underneath, but they don't. So I've got to pull all these pins up far enough to get the snap ring started on here. So I've got to do this on all 4 arms. It is what it is, totally fine. We'll get it done. It's nice being able to swing the arms back like that. Couldn't do that with the old lift. All right, I took a few minutes to kind of inspect everything. I threw a torque wrench back on the anchor bolts just to make sure nothing's moved or anything like that. Cables don't feel too terribly tight or loose. Everything seems like it's pretty good. These dogs are engaged well. This one's not quite down into place, but I'm super happy to have this project all wrapped up. I'm looking forward to some extra productivity here, but first I got to get the oil changed in the CRV. Thanks for following along. We'll catch you guys on the next video.